In the course of this video lesson, we're going to be explaining Newton's first law of motion. Now, Isaac Newton, who was a scientist who lived a long time ago, and he found a relationship between force, mass, and acceleration. And he came out with three laws of motion. Today, in the course of this particular lesson, this particular class, we're going to be talking about the first law of motion. Now, what does Isaac Newton's first law of motion state? Isaac Newton's first law of motion states that a body will continue to remain in a state of rest or in a state of uniform motion unless acted upon by an applied force. I'll say it again. Newton's first law of motion states that Newton's first law of motion states that a body will continue to remain in a state of rest or uniform motion unless acted upon by an applied force. By an applied force. And what does this state? And what does this mean rather? It means that a car will continue moving. It will continue moving and moving unless the brakes are applied. That is the force that makes it to stop. Or a pencil will be kept on a pencil when it is kept on a table. It will continue to remain there unless a person picks it up. That is Newton's first law of motion. In fact, it is also called the law of inertia. It is also called the law of inertia. So many people have seen this word, inertia, but they don't actually know what it means. Newton's first law of motion is also called the law of inertia. Now, what is inertia? Now, inertia is the reluctance. Listen to me now. Inertia is the reluctance or the tendency for a body to continue to remain in motion in the absence of an applied force. Inertia is the reluctance or the tendency of a body to continue to remain in motion in the absence of an applied force, or it to continue to remain in a state of rest in the absence of an applied force. What does it mean? It means that inertia just excludes force. In inertia, a ball will continue moving and keep on moving indefinitely. A car is moving and it will just be moving, it will not stop. But in real life situations, even if you kick a ball, there are different factors that will make that ball to stop. Number one, friction, gravity, and other forces. This is what will make that ball to stop. But in inertia, the definition of inertia, it's a jam pass question, regular pass question. I've seen it in 2 to 3 years. They've repeated the question, what is inertia? It is the reluctance or the tendency for a body to continue to remain in a state of rest or uniform motion in the absence of an applied force. For example, Emeka has exams. His parents are telling him, Emeka, read your book. Emeka say, no, I will not read my book. Emeka, read your book. Emeka say, no. At a point, Emeka started reading. Emeka, read. Emeka, stop reading, go and eat. Emeka say, no. Emeka does not want to stop reading again and eat. He is reading and reading. That is inertia. If he's moving, he don't want to stop. If it has stopped, he don't want to start moving. That's why it is the reluctance or the tendency of a body to continue to remain in a state of rest or uniform motion in the absence of an applied force. Now, there are applications, real life applications to Newton's first law of motion. Newton's first law of motion explains why passengers in the front seat of a car or inside a car, when they are moving and the brake is applied, they move forward. I'm sure you've experienced that. If a car is on high speed, even if it's not on speed, if it is moving, when the brake is applied, the passengers will move forward. That is Newton's first law of motion. And that is why we are always advised to use safety precautions such as seat belts. So one more time, let us state Newton's first law of motion. Newton's first law of motion states that a body will continue to remain in a state of rest or in uniform motion. That means it will just keep moving unless it is acted upon by an applied force. And inertia, it is the reluctance or the tendency of a body to continue to remain in a state of rest or uniform motion in the absence of an applied force. Please follow this Facebook page, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like, drop your comments. Thank you.